Hey folks, Simon here from Velo Performance. If you're new to the channel, then welcome, and if you're a regular visitor and you're coming back for part 2 in this series, then hey look, thanks for coming back. In the last video, I talked about understanding energy needs and why this is important for cyclists to know for consistent energy on the bike, quality in training, optimal recovery, weight management and hunger management. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the value of calories for hunger management. The tracking tool that helps you create meals that you love, the most common pitfalls that cyclists fall into that make them put on weight, and the one thing that we can all do, which is science-based but actually brilliant, that will help us lose more body fat. And no, it's not spammy or silly or jumping into ice buckets. It's actually really simple for us all to do. So let's get into it. This is 100 grams of trail mix. It's perceived as healthy and therefore it's low in calorie. But for 100 grams, it's 415 calories. This is 100 grams of mixed nuts, and these are 557 calories for 100 grams. And these are peanut butter M&Ms, which are frankly delicious. It's 100 grams and these are 524 calories for 100 grams. And this is my midday snack. It's one pita bread with 100 grams of pastrami in it, some sanded leaves, a nice dollop of low-fat mayonnaise with a little drizzle of my favorite sriracha sauce. All of this is about 325 calories, which, when you step back from all of this, which one of these is going to make you feel more satisfied and fuller for longer and also be less in calories? You've got to say this one, right? What I'm trying to get across here is that when we understand calories, we can start to make meals that are going to help us stay fuller for longer. We can make meals that are more nutritious for us and delicious. We just start making much better decisions about the foods that we eat, and we can control calories, and therefore we can start adding into our diet. Don't lose your minds when I say this. We can start adding into things like peanut butter M&Ms, which, let's face it, are pretty delicious. We can eat a few nuts and seeds from time to time again and know that it's not going to put overly too much calories into our diet. And if we're careful with how much trail mix we can eat, we can enjoy that too on the top of yogurts and things like that. The problem is people absolutely lose their minds when they talk about processed foods and sugar being the cause of all fat gain in everybody's diet. Well, that can be the case if you're overeating your calories in just sugar, and let's face it, it's not that healthy. But most people I know don't eat like that. It's just maybe sedentary populations who don't understand calories and maybe don't understand the value of the calories in their food, where they think they're eating healthy, but they're overeating calories that make that mistake. Once we start understanding this one thing, we can start choosing meals that are delicious, healthy, stick to our calorie guidelines, so we can control our body composition, have loads more energy, and just feel really, really relaxed around food. Because that's what we want, right? The way that I coach it at Velo is that nothing should be off the table. Not ever. But you have to be mindful about what you're eating and why you're eating it. These are so good. Let's talk about condiments, because this is where I see a lot of people make a few mistakes with, and I've certainly done it myself. This is my favorite sriracha hot chili sauce. I'll stick it pretty much on anything. It is super delicious. The problem is it can be quite calorific. So for 50 grams, that's close to 70 calories. Now, if you're putting that on the way that I was putting it on every second meal, that is 140 calories extra onto meals. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out how much extra calories I'm sticking into my meals needlessly. Whereas a little drizzle of this is about 15 to 20 calories. Which one is going to help me get to my goals better? And this is why understanding calories is so important, because when we understand this could be stopping us from where we're wanting to get to, or at least adding to the breaks to where we want to get to, we can start making better choices about how much we either dollop or drizzle into our dinner. Let's talk about processed versus whole foods for basically health and making us feel good. For the most part, most of you guys watching this probably will agree with me that this is pretty healthy. It's full of vitamins and minerals, all the boring stuff we need to be pretty healthy. I'm cool with that. So adding in things like processed yogurts isn't a problem. But adding something like a processed protein bar, some people might absolutely lose their shit. And you don't need to, because if you eat all of this and you fancy something like that, is that going to outweigh a very healthy diet overall? No. Look, I get it. Using a calorie app to track all our calories every day, every week is full on, and let's face it, not many of us do this well. So one of the things I do at Velo is to get my guys to understand some of the foods that they're eating and the calories that are within those foods. So they know how many calories they should be eating, but if they use the app to create meals and figure out the calories of the foods that they choose from, then they are creating the meals that they want to eat, but then they can control portion sizes of the foods that they're eating, which means that they're not eating 4 pita breads when they could have eaten 2, and they're choosing a smaller handful of peanut M&Ms when they could have eaten the whole bag. It is such a simple thing to put into practice over a couple of days, and it keeps you centered, keeps you thinking about the total calories of your foods, and also it can help you make better decisions on the healthiness of the foods that you're eating, because you become aware of the foods that you're eating rather than just throwing everything into the mix and hoping that it's actually gonna help you get to where you want to get to. I want to talk about your food environment because actually this is quite important for understanding cravings, cues of cravings, and it will help you with making sure that you don't put on weight. A classic example of this is a lot of people, when they have treat foods, put them in plain sight. So quite close to maybe coffee mugs and things like that. Now, every time you open that cupboard, if you're faced with a chocolate bar, I can guarantee you, because I would, you're gonna probably be more tempted to eat it. Whereas if you put it in a separate drawer in the kitchen, further away from other things that you normally use, so you have to make a conscious decision to go to that drawer to eat anything that is tasty and a little bit of fun, then at least you're making a conscious decision. And as always, that's up to you. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat these things. Life is too short. But when you are trying to change shape and lose weight, having that step will help you make a decision whether you actually really want it and you've decided that that's great, or you're just mindlessly eating. Sleep is one of the biggest, easiest lifestyle interventions for fat loss. Studies show that people who sleep on an average of 7+ hours a night maintain more lean muscle. They look and are leaner and have normal hunger cues. People with dysregulated sleep, on the other hand, in terms of quality and duration have been shown to overeat on higher calorie foods and have less lean muscle mass. Basically, when you get your sleep pattern and duration consistently in check, you have more control over cravings, improve hunger management, and will look leaner and have more lean muscle mass, which basically means you're going to be stronger on your bike. Now, we can all be guilty of staying up late and watching a box set or even binging it, but maybe we should rethink that a little bit. Righty, that's it for this series. If you missed part 1, then you can go back and I'll put a box somewhere in the video somewhere. If you've got any questions, stick them in the box below. I'm happy to have conversations, adult conversations with you all. If you found any of this helpful or knowledge affirming, hit like, and do me a favour, share it with your friends if you think this is going to be helpful for them too. Right, some of you may have noticed that I had a lakes box in my videos. Well, these are brand new and they're coming to France and then Bormio with me in a couple of weeks, and don't they look great? Look, thanks for watching and I'll be back in a couple of weeks.